Hello.
Hi,
Hi. Hold on.
no
Hmm.
problem.
I have two things open. That's what I need to close.
Oh, okay.
There you are. Okay. So I think my other Zoom link has expired. So
Oh, the
we're
one for
gonna,
class?
I think so, but I don't know. I left my laptop at home, so I'm working off my phone. But I will check it when I get home. And
Mhm.
if I need to send out a new link for tomorrow, I will. So I'll just send out a communication to everyone. Use this link. So I apologize. So thank you for
Oh,
your
no, that's fine.
ability. How are you doing today?
A little tired.
Oh,
Yeah. One, I think I told you the last time they are doing renovation in my kitchen. It's a complete
yes.
remodel, complete. So we are not going to have any kitchen, I think, till mid-July or more than that. I don't even think they said mid-July is a lie because right now where they are, I think is end of July or anyway, we'll say.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it is very frustrating because literally I have a small space with a microwave, a burner, electric burner I bought, which is taking forever to do anything. My kids love it because they eat more out. Um, I mean, it's very stressful, everything. It's packed in the garage. It's just like, oh gosh.
How's your mother coping with it?
No, my mom moved to my sister. That is another thing.
Ah, okay.
And we're in Arizona, so I scheduled three back-to-back appointments with her. So I've been since I came back, it's like running appointment with her for her because she doesn't feel comfortable with any other. She has my sister is here, my brother is here, my brother-in-law is here, my sister-in-law, then my another brother is here. I brought all of them here, but she's not comfortable going to the hospital with anyone but me.
Ah, okay.
I just don't know why. It's like I was talking to her the other day. I said, Mom, you have to she has to let my sister, but she's not comfortable. Whether it's old age, I don't know. My mother is 72.
Wow.
So that I told her that's not old age. You're not old yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Then you need to have a series of appointments. It's just been exhausting, but I'm grateful though. I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
Good. I heard that. Well, thank you. What would you like to cover today?
Oh, I wanted to begin by saying thank you so much that we had that conversation about this online ordination, and then you said something about that triggered something. You said something about for the board certification,
Yes.
the what is it you said? You said
Are they an endorsing agent?
endorsing. And okay, so I just became so curious to go find out from my church whether they are endorsing. First, I became curious to read um what kind of institutions are allowed to endorse for board certification CPE. It's so constrained. It is mainline church, period. So if you are going to say it's mainline churches, then you have other endorsing groups like the Federation of Christian Ministry and other ones like that. I think it's just like two that can do that. So independent churches, most independent churches are out,
Right.
which means included mine. And then the Presbyterian Church, they already know me. I have always, as you know, I'm very transparent about it. I have always refused to be ordained as a pastor. Again, traditional pastor. I've always resisted that. But the Presbyterian Church wants that ordination for, I think the one that has prerequisite or something like that. I'm like, nobody is going to get me ordained as parish pastor. I will not allow that. And then, more importantly, and this is very vocational, I've always seen myself as a bridge builder, as an interfaith person. I've always had some level of discomfort in any church that exclude, that marginalizes. This. my church right now cannot even endorse to begin with. It's an independent, emerging church, doesn't fit that criteria. Presbyterian Church, I do not want to be ordained. So I just started the process of being a part of the Federation of Christian Ministry. I don't know if you know that.
No, I don't.
Yeah, it will be something to look because I think your ethos also matches them so big. Um, so I read a lot about them and it's an interfaith. It really generated from Vatican II. So this body of priests that wanted to be more inclusive, wanted to be more to work with people on the margins more. They started it and it's now it's a really big organization. And it is one of the endorsing body that is recognized. They are very explicit about it for CPE particularly.
Okay.
So I applied for membership. It takes 2 weeks to respond. I applied for like a few days ago. So I'm hoping they get that first stage. Then they are going to link me on with a VP in California. And I'll start a process. Then I'll get commissioned by them too. Because for them to endorse, you have to be a commission member. Because essentially they're vouching that day.
Mm-hmm.
This I did not know at all. But if I didn't talk to you last week, I just would have been sailing through, assuming, well, of course, my church will endorse me. Of course, my church will endorse me. Get to me and find out that they literally cannot endorse. And that for my main church, as you know, is Presbyterian, I will have to yield to become a Presbyterian minister, which constrains me a lot. I really don't want it. So so that is the update now. So I applied as a member and I told them I got the ordination from the United Life Church and all of that. But I think they will recognize it, but I think they will want me to still be commissioned by them. Commissioning by them basically mean ordained by them because I was
Commissioning by the Presbyterian Church?
by the Federation of
Oh,
Christian.
means ordained by them. Okay.
Commissioning by them means ordained by them, and it is a whole lot of paperwork, which is for me not a big deal. It's not a big deal, but what is important is that they are also bridge builders. They are very intentional. My fear now is APU because APU is they say they are progressive, they are not. Even their mission statement, they are just this church that the elephant of the room has always been same-sex relationships. You know, it's always been the elephant in the room. Whether they say it or not, it is. And the Federation of Christian Ministry, they do ordain persons same-sex relationship. But their very core statement is to show their devotion in bridge building ministry of reconciliation, especially people on the margins broadly. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I just was been praying about it. I said, Lord, you know what? That is fundamentally my life. That is fundamentally my calling. At this stage, I'm really not worried. If APU should find out and say, oh, you cannot be part of a federation like that, I would say I would choose to be because I'm not going to hide who fundamentally I am. I cannot hide it.
Mm-hmm.
And they already know in classrooms, other people, they're afraid to teach sexual ethics. I say, how can I teach Paul without dealing with sexual ethics for fear of their job? I have not, I've always taught them Pauline sexual ethics, and I fundamentally grounded it in the students are obligated to know the various perspectives that are out there, be conversant about it. They can choose. Anybody can have their own conviction. But convictions are not convictions if they are not tested within the broader spectrum of other convictions. I'm not inculcating to any student a perspective to embrace. No, they would do that by their own. However, my educational calling requires me to made them aware of the various interpretive moves people make to coming to the conclusions they come to. They need to know broadly, you know. So I know if they find out anyway, except those who really want, if they find out first, they'll call me. I'm the only black person in my whole in this whole school of theology and philosophy. I'm the only black person. So I know for them, they will not want to question me like that because they've never questioned. My faith has never been something to question. But I know they will call me, the president and the provost will surely call me, and that would be an opportunity for me to preach to them, maybe. Because I'm not going to go there like others and try to lie. I will not do it. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but again, I'm so grateful because if we didn't
You're
talk
welcome. That's
about it,
why I brought it up, because I assumed they weren't.
yeah, no, they aren't at all, especially that, to be honest, my pastor is not theologically trained. That's
Right.
the reason
That's
why he called me to her.
that's right. That's what started the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's so I'm so grateful that you followed through, and I'm grateful that you found the Federation of Christian Ministry. Excellent. Good. And you
Yeah.
have time. And I love that lots of paperwork is no big deal for you.
No, it's not because I'm so used to paperwork anyways. I don't know if you know I did project management, which I'm not done the certification yet, which I will. And it requires a lot of documentation, you know. So that's not, but I'm just so grateful. Can you imagine? It was like I was just so grateful to God. I say, Lord, I would have honestly not known anything until May. And then I
No,
myself.
no. Well, were you? Yeah, I hear you. You might not have known because I think we already did the board certification didactic. I don't know when it would come up in your rotation. I think it comes up in the next unit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I hope,
But you needed to know sooner than later.
right, exactly, because this whole process is membership, then commissioning, before then endorsing. So
Yeah.
it is also takes like 8 months, which is really very important, good at this stage. So
Yes. Yeah.
I'm so grateful, and I'm so also grateful that I am at peace in I don't care what APU says. I think if you have time, it would be great to check the Federation of Christian Ministry.
Okay. I'll take a look
Yeah.
at it. I'll
Yeah,
take a
it's
look
a
at it.
huge, it's a big one, and their philosophy, I love their philosophy. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I will do that. I will take a look at it. I have also, I do want to hear whatever else you have on the agenda. This reminds me
Mhm.
that I looked at the dates that you have. I cannot make them work. So we may
Mhm.
have to settle for not having another site visit. How do you feel about that?
You know, I'm fine with that,
Okay.
because at some point though, I don't even want because I really want to invite you. Cannot come here without coming to my house. That
Okay.
that would be
Well,
something I would not want to. So
okay.
now you cannot right now you can't even come to my house.
So it all works out.
Yeah,
We'll
that
do it another time. Okay.
are you
No
teaching
problem.
in the fall? That is important to me. Are you teaching in the fall?
It's
Please,
a
please,
good,
please.
that's a good question. We don't know yet.
Does it depend on you or no?
Well, ultimately, all things depend on God.
Right. God within the post.
So when I know, you'll know.
Please, because I want to know though. I want to
I know you want to know. I'm clear. And I think you also could hear how beneficial it would be to have a different educator.
no, not for the phone. Maybe phone unit, not no now.
Well, I offer that to you, and I know I don't have to unpack it. You can imagine that another educator is a completely different experience and powerful experience. You can imagine Juan, who you've already had some really good interactions with during didactics, how being with him in group would open up a whole nother. So I offer that. I'm not going to try to persuade you. When I know, I'm happy to share.
I have a sister in some space where I can really take her for into a journey. We do not always have that. My trajectory of education have all been white, white, white. Every single stage of my vocational journey, educational journey has been white, white, white. You know, you bring so much the feminine and the womanist perspective into it. You bring so much diversity and inclusion that I just think. Anyway, that's me. For others, I don't know, but I have had too many white professors. Even I told you I'm doing psychology. I'm doing master's in
Yes.
psychology. Oh, white. I'm like, this is the only space, I'm going to tell you honestly, the only space that I'm being taught by a sister.
What about in your trauma-informed care work?
The in trauma informed care, there are these two white people that started that they are the one teaching. You know, they are, what is their name? It's a couple. They are white.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both white. I have had no instructor. I mean, literally, God in heaven knows, no instructor.
Okay, I'm thinking you haven't had any instructor. I hear you. I hear you. I will let you know. I will let
No,
you
not
know.
black instructor. No, not at all. I
That,
had
that,
Brian
that,
Blunt, but he
that's
was
amazing.
director of my thesis, but not really an instructor.
Oh, I remember reading his work.
Yeah, Brian Blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the director of my PhD. He's the
Wow, that's pretty impressive. That's
yeah,
awesome. Good for him to be able to work with you.
yeah. No, he's a fantastic, fantastic. Till today we have very close relationship. He was president of Union Theological Seminary. He just retired actually. He was
Yeah,
at Princeton, then he moves there, and when he moved there, I requested that he stays the chair of my dissertation. I made a huge petition that I even brought my one of my committee member, who was Margaret Fowler. I don't know if you know, she just
yes,
from Yale. I
yeah,
made her write a petition that Brian Blount, because Princeton by default, if you move to another institution, they give you a different chair. I made her write a petition. I wrote a petition, and I was the only first and I think last person that they accepted for someone who went to a different institution to stay the chair.
that's awesome. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, powerful. All right. Okay. So we've covered those things. Thank you for sharing with me about the Federation of Christian Ministry. I'm glad you looked into it. I was going to
Mhm.
follow up with you today. So good. And you're in good time. 8 months is pretty quick. So that's good. All
Yeah.
right. What else is on your agenda for today besides trying to get me to teach? What else is on there?
Okay. You are going my verbatim for tomorrow. I just want to hint is going to be I think it's unusual. I hope I don't shock people with that. You remember Guy that and his friends on the whole conversation we started with the masculinity, right?
Yes.
So this is how I scheduled with them so that it works. So I meet with the group every 2 weeks. In between that, I meet with Guy before I meet with the group.
Ah,
I
okay.
say, so that's how it's scheduled. Group Guy, group then Guy. And so he brought they had already triggered that conversation in the group actually, but we didn't talk much about it. So when we were talking, he really was didn't feel, I don't know whether he was afraid to just come out and say it, but he was telling me about one thing in his life that makes him feel so uncomfortable about masculinity, that is so internalized, is that whole thing about he doesn't want to be regarded as a woman, quote unquote.
Mm,
So he has to be this tough man because he doesn't want to be regarded as a woman. It wasn't just the woman, it's the fact that it brought in the issue of same-sex relationship, gay relationship. And I said, okay, Gib, just talk to me about it. If you don't mind sharing, talk to me about it. So he brought all this home, he started with this homophobic description of a gay relationship as a waste of semen. He says,
Mhm.
so he brought me back to Genesis 1 and says that fruitful and multiply. It means that you
Mm.
cannot waste semen because they don't multiply. So the whole point of his discomfort is not just the relationship, profoundly embedded in it is sex, procreation, sexual ethics. So for him, is the whole thing of the way semen, they behave like women. So to counter that, he has to be he was taught and brought up to be a man, and all in he said be a man. So I used that opportunity to say, okay, probing question for him to talk more about it. So I said, okay, I if I hear you correctly, the waste semen waste is a big part of this for you. She said, yeah, of course, because they cannot have children, and all the children that could have been born are wasted by their semen. You know what? It was the hardest conversation I had for me. I just the homophobia that was it was killing me. I was doing everything. That's when you say that in this, I was doing everything in my power to stay calm, give him the opportunity to feel a safe space and to talk more. And I said, Guy, do you know that wasting of semen is not just a gay thing? I said, do you know the story of Tamar and Judah?
Mm.
Do you know why God punished when Tamar's husband died and the levirate marriage that was supposed to have a child so that that child become Judah's the Judah's son. I've forgotten the name right now. My head is not clear. Anyway, I brought that passage to him and I said, do you know heterosexual relationship do this exactly the same thing? So I said, Guy, okay, the conversation continues, and I say, okay, Guy, what those moments when you guys masturbate, what do you do? You're also wasting seed. I said, that is waste of seed. If this is a core problem that is making such a homophobic attitude for a lot of African men, because she just said, but most African men, they hate that because of that. And I say, but every single time in that relationship, it was not a homosexual relationship. It was a heterosexual relationship that coitus interruptus was practiced and it became a problem. So it is not only in gay relationship that this is happening. If we want to really take accountability and look at ourselves in the mirror, men by default, then every single time they do masturbation, they're doing exactly the same thing. So why is that a problem for gay relationship? He never thought about it that way. So I never thought about it that way. But I said, you say it's waste of semen. It's procreative semen that is wasted.
Mhm.
So that was the big conversation and him and I have. And it suddenly dawned on him, it's like, okay, he needs to think a lot about that. I said, no, we cannot just be critical and discriminate against a particular people. If you want to talk about same-sex relationship as a relationship, that is different. But if you want to say the one rationale for why people are disgusted is that they cannot have children, they are not fulfilling God's mandate to procreate. I say, by the way, a lot of gay families, they have children. That anyway, selective thinking for most of these African men. I said, then if you guys are going to focus on that, then let's talk about it. You know. So I decided to do a verbatim. Why? Because I think is one I need to because I know it's coming up. It's going to come up in group. I know that for sure it's going to come up in group. And I'm like, before that group, I would want to hear what my colleagues can help me in this conversation. But because for me, I was so emotional and I tried to hide it. I think he might see through it. because I'm so tired of this homophobic attitude in the African communities. You know, it's not even lesbian relationship that is the problem because they don't have it since for them African women they hold them so tight, constrain them so tight that it's not much their problem. It is a homosexual relationship that they are well homosexual is both. I mean it's gay relationship that they are really really disgusted about. And I come to find out it was procreative ethics focus and semen waste the key. So I thought, okay, you give me a lot of good pieces of advice already for in IS, but I thought, okay, this will be a good conversation to help.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I think that's a great.
so so what do you think about because it just came to me. I'm like, if you are going to crucify, quote unquote, a particular group of people for the same thing you guys are doing in a heterosexual, quote unquote, confessing yourself to be heterosexual, then let's take out broad accountability.
Mhm, mhm. May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why are you so impassioned about this and so frustrated about the homophobic
Mhm.
cultural perspective?
I will tell you, there's a countertransference there. My mentor at Yale, the one person who has been in my life through thick and thin. I don't know if you know, is Letty Ross, a great theologian.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he was my mentor. I came from Paris here. By the time I arrived here, this woman, my apartment was packed full with everything. This woman was with me until she dies. She was my mentor, provider, and everything. She's lesbian. I have never seen the most kindest, God-fearing, God-loving woman in my life and ever than this woman. And to see that because she chooses to be in that relationship, she goes through her life. She was a Presbyterian pastor, and she left that. She left. I mean, this woman has been basically crucified again and again and again all her life. But if you come to know Letty is most wonderful woman. And to me, I do not believe that again, when they say, oh, the Bible, I'm like, to me, I'm very convinced the Bible has nothing to do with our homosexuality as we are talking today, not at all. I do believe that the Bible is so much about pederasty in the Greco-Roman world more than homosexuality as we construed. It was a power dynamic relationship that has nothing to do with people who make a choice for themselves to live the way they want to live. And even the Hebrew Bible says, oh, but God, yes, I said, yeah, if you are going to have a procreation sexual ethics, it's true. If you are going to have um, um, a relationship where fundamentally the thing is against nature as Jewish conceptualization of relationship, fine. But it does not mean, and then most people who did homosexual relationship in the Hebrew Bible, they were heterosexuals. They were not even homosexual in the sense we understand today. All these men were heterosexual men. So if you want to use the Bible then you are going to spend your entire life doing research on the Bible because that's why till today there's no conclusive answer about does the Bible condemn or not condemn homosexuality. That is a question you can never get the Bible to answer because it's not responding to our questions. So for me as a biblical scholar, that's fundamentally the thing. If you are going to get the Bible to justify, then you have a big time problem. The Bible cannot answer our quote unquote homosexual relation questions today because that reality is not the same reality then. You are talking about a reality of two people who make a choice, no power dynamics involved. Two people who make a choice to live their relationship. I am heterosexual. I make a choice to live my relationship the way I feel called to. They make a choice. Who am I? Who am I to marginalize, disenfranchise a whole group of people who make a choice to live the way they want? But you see this, they are still devout Christian. Why can't you be devout Christian and be gay? Does the Bible say you cannot? So I have, and then thinking about Letty Russell, I get so offended every time, especially my community. I'm really focused on my social location. They have a passion. It's always an elephant in the room. If you see a pastor want to preach, the elephant in the room. People voted for Trump in my church for nothing else, but that is going to eradicate homosexuality in my church. They didn't look at the bigger picture. They didn't look at bigger issue. Nothing else counted but that. So for this single issue, people are willing. It is a hill to die on for many. And for me, I am just completely every time I'm angry because one, as a biblical scholar, I just think it's so just for the church to pick it up as a single issue to marginalize a whole group of people. I'm like, that's so wrong. And when
What
they bring it up,
what irritates you more, your personal experience of Letty Russell, or as a Bible scholar, the poor use of
oh,
scripture?
both of them, my poor use of scripture and lived experience as with one person. Well, it's a couple because Shannon Clarkson, the partner, she's still alive with a couple. So both of them fundamentally irritates me
Mm.
because they cherry pick and don't see the whole picture. They cherry pick, oh God, all homosexual people like that. I'm like, first of all, they were all heterosexuals.
How does this reckon with the passion that gets stirred in you when you talk about tradition and the ways it can be harmful?
Right, it's the same thing, same thread, same thread. When the Bible gets misused, it damages a lot of people. And more, I see how much pastors misuse the Bible and use it as a tool to harm and hurt and damage. I told you the story of my mom. She's a big time traumatized, anxiety filled woman because of how the Bible was used. This, my mother, I was in Paris, I wasn't there. And I will regret for not being there for her. Every time I told you, my mother was 32 years elders in the church. Every time she goes to a pastor and talk about my father abusing her, it's always, what did you do? Go and be a good wife. And then they will read scripture to her every time people come with issues. The whole thing is, that's why I say clinical learning is very important. All they know to do is use scripture. They cherry pick the scripture, read it for you, and then exorcise you because they see it as a demon to cast. So being a biblical scholar it makes me very angry about these traditions that continue to destroy people's life, harm people, damage them for life. And then the church, which is supposed to be a place that, like, they'll say, oh, and God is a mighty tower, all who runs in will be saved. I'm like, you guys kidding me? Can everyone run to this church and feel safe and comfortable at home in their brokenness? All of us are broken people who gather here. Nobody is better. And you will cite that scripture. They cited it one day. I was telling in Bible. Are you kidding me? Is this door, are our doors open that everybody can run in and feel, oh my God, this is a space I can be? Let me tell you, my church and many African church are the place they better not run to because they'll be crucified.
So I hear the Bible scholar and the passion. I hear Letty Russell and others who gave you a counter narrative. And I hear your lived experience with your mother of the scriptures being used in a harmful way. That's quite a bit of fuel for this fire.
I'm telling you, I'm not, with you, I'm very transparent. It is for me, after my conversation with Guy, I wrote my verbatim. Then I said, do I want to be in this space?
Hmm. What is the cost to you to be in this space? I understand the possibility for liberation and justice. What is the cost to you?
It really costs me emotionally every single time I have conversations like this because it's like I am some sort of quote unquote put on my soldiers because they know every time they have conversations like that, they know that I'm going to say something. They know my church already knows that. So pastor is always qualifying, which is good. He tries to qualify, but it costs me a lot emotional energy, but I still feel like, for instance, there was a green light when T told me, Sister Alice, I'm going to research more about it. And why don't we preach, like he said, why don't we preach on the Tamar and Judas experience? Because it's like, although it took me aback, it's true that heterosexuals do the same semen waste. But they have never thought about it, you know, because the only people who do semen waste is the gay people, So why don't we do they ever preach about or Bible study because we have Bible study every Thursday? Why don't we do Bible study about these hard passages? It's a green light to me there that this is a man who was so certain in his conviction, but who is willing to listen, rethink, and read broadly. And I told him, I said, Guy, it's let's begin by you reading the text. You can read it, maybe encourage your friends to read it so that I know it will come and I never consider itself. Of course, it's going to come. So could you guys do me a favor, read that passage and read other passages? So he said I should give him a list of passages that we should read on masculinity before our meeting next week. So I'm going to do that next week, Saturday this week.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to give him just some reading so that we read and meet. Maybe this discomfort would transform into enlightenment for one, two of them. I do not know. So sometimes it is a high cost because I just hate discrimination. I just hate seeing again and again and again this and I like I did Bible study on the Pharisees and the tax collector prayer. And I say every time we do that, we take the posture of the Pharisee. And the one that went away applauded in that story in Luke 18 is the tax collector. Every time we say, me, I fast, I do this, look at that one over there, we take the posture of the Pharisee. We do. And the posture that is recommended is the posture of the one who do introspection and is grateful that God's mercy and grace is so much in my life that the only way I can respond to embrace others in their brokenness, just like God embraces me every day in my brokenness. I said, when we realize how much we have been embraced by God, then we will stop being the Pharisee in that prayer in Luke 18.
So I'm observing when you talk about the cost, that you also brought up a sense, I think you said, I'm ashamed that I was not there for my mother.
Yes.
Can you say
And
more
I'm
about that?
also, I'm not only am I ashamed, I'm angry that I wasn't there
Okay.
because my mom will not be in this damage. My mom is really damaged. My mom is so damaged that when she hears loud noise, she gets anxious, really anxious, because that is the loud noise of my father in her head,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I have a very strong bond with my mom. My mom had me when she was 15.
Hmm.
And so I have felt she didn't have the opportunity to be a teenage woman. She had no opportunity for education. She had zero opportunity. All those things were taken away from her by a system that used that relationship to damage her. When my mom came here, I tried to put her in adult school. I did everything. But my mom was so damaged and anxious that she would not. My mom is so smart. You cannot beat her with math because she likes money. She was doing her small trading and was able, you can't cheat her that because she didn't go to school. She is a very, very smart woman. But she had no opportunity. I tried everything I could when she was here. So I'm so protective of her, yeah. I think that's why she's so attached. She will not let anybody do anything if I'm not there. Just because I feel for her. A 15-year-old woman, all her life went through this. And I'm a product of a 50-year-old rape, is essentially, because it's not like the sexual relationship for them is rape. It's rape. It's I own you. You just come here. So I feel so much for my mom. And a lot of these countertransference that I experience in this, anything that connotes patriarchy, connotes then exclusion, connotes discrimination, is also tied somehow to my mom.
Yeah, that's important self-awareness.
That and for the price of it, that's the thing. The cost is high, but I think if I do not do what I do, then maybe maybe even if one person really changes and become more welcoming, more hospitable, I've done my job. I really have done my job, and that's why um even though I'm like, oh my God, on Saturday I'm meeting these men, I know what they are going to say, but I'm willing to do that, you know.
That's powerful self-awareness. It really is. That is so important to make that connection because you said, I know countertransference is coming up. And so naming the pain, the shame, the anger, does it help your mom in any way? Is it redeeming of your mom in any
Yes.
way?
Do you know my mom said one thing that I hold so precious? My mom told me, said, if my father were still alive and she were to be in Cameroon right now, she will not take it anymore. She will not take it anymore. She said, I had to take everything to make sure I'm with my children because I don't know if you know, in the African
Yeah,
society, the children belong to the man, not to the woman.
right. And she made that choice over and over again for you.
Yes, yes.
Alice,
Hmm.
that's a load.
Yeah, yeah, she did that. So, but my mom came to the point, I didn't tell her to say that. She said it herself. When my father to be alive, so she gets more and more angry when she thinks about everything she went through because she's in a space where she can think and see something different. And she
Mhm.
watches a lot of Nigerian movies. Even though
Right.
there are movies that portraying this patriarchy, the bad,
She's
the
still
good, bad,
seeing
and
it.
ugly. Right. So
Mhm.
she's seeing those things. And she said to my sister one day in family meeting, she said she will never be alive and her children go through what she went through.
Right.
That awareness is awareness because she's here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful. We are at the end of our time. I want to invite you to consider maybe we can pick up and talk about the forgiveness work you have done for your father and where you are on that journey.
I have not done. My father is dead.
I know. Yeah.
I have not done it. No, I haven't done it. Yeah. I will need to, um, it will take a lot to do it.
Mhm.
I don't hold him in my heart for real because I cannot pray if I hold anybody. But I have not seen with my mother the way she is, I have not done it. I
Okay.
really have not. You wouldn't talk to me about my father and I smile. No.
Okay.
At this
So
point,
that's part
yeah,
of that countertransference stew, if you will. And
yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that with me.
yeah,
And I appreciate your vulnerability and even naming it.
yeah.
Yeah. Please take care of yourself. We have to stop here, okay?
Come on, but it's coming. You will see. I really clean out things a lot in the thing.
Thank you. I'm going to count how many times you say semen. All right.
What is that?
I'm going to count them. How many times does she say semen in this verbatim? No, I think it'll be
Because
helpful
we
for
are
our
all
group.
adult. I mean, it's a raw thing, but that is a reality.
Yeah, and you have two men in the group,
Yeah,
which I think is great consultation. So I think it's an excellent
yeah,
use of verbatim.
yeah.
Excellent. And you've done some great reflection here today.
Yeah. No, I
Right.
look towards IS because IS is a place I can be utterly vulnerable, you
Mhm.
know. So I really appreciate my IS because it's my therapy section. Yeah, because that is a space I can be completely vulnerable.
Don't call your IS your therapy session. It's not your therapy session. It's your IS.
I will call it IS. I think more than IS, it does something to me though. So it does something
Good.
transformative for me. That
So
so
it's
it's
transformative IS. Excellent. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank
okay,
you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye bye.